Hi friends, welcome to my channel B-simplified. I am Neeraj Kumar and I bring to you yet another topic for simplification today. Okay, so coming to the topic for today, this is a topic which is pretty interesting for me on two fronts. On one hand, it's a topic which is very dear to me, and secondly, I think if you hear this topic or this term, you'll find that this is one of the most used topics, be it in organizational events, marketplaces, meetings, all hands, everywhere. So, without further ado, let's deep dive in onto the term. And what we are going to discuss today is none other than the word innovation. Already rings a bell, right? Now, as I said, this is also one such topic, a very heavy loaded term, where we have hundreds of books, articles, people have spoken about this topic, people have had great lectures on this topic as well. And it's all worth listening to, going through in detail, and that's, I'm sure, would be on the cards after this video. But in this session, I would like to give you again, as my channel stands for, simplification, a simplified view of what does this mean, some key takeaways which we can remember out of this session, which will help you deep dive further into the topic. Okay, so simply put, what is innovation? What are we talking about here? And to simply put this, I would say find solutions to unmet market needs. You can also mention better than others, but I think the key here is the first 6 words in the sentence which I mentioned. Find solutions to unmet market needs. So when I say that, let me uncover this entire sentence one by one for you. So in this entire statement, there are two parts. There are actually two parts which I would like to highlight. One part is talking about unmet market needs. That's one side of the equation. But there's another side of the equation which talks about solutions. Okay, so these are the two main aspects in the sentence which I was talking about. There's unmet market needs and there are solutions. The matchmaking of the two is innovation. I repeat, so we will have solutions. There are a lot of idea generation techniques coming up in companies. There are a lot of events which happen where companies generate new ideas, coming up with new inventions, creativity, hackathons. But that's only one side of the equation. There's also another side of the equation, which is finding out what are the unmet market needs in the market, in the industry which I'm operating. And innovation is all about matchmaking the two. You have to match the solutions, the right solutions, the better solutions, and there is basically another entire episode of what we mean by better in that sense. But you can imagine that there are solutions which are tackling unmet market needs. If you do not have both sides of the equation, innovation does not happen. That's the first key takeaway out of this session which you can take. So the thing is, whenever somebody talks to you about innovation, remember we are talking about two dimensions, two sides of the equation. Unmet market need solutions, and the matchmaking is the innovation. Okay, so I hope that's easy to remember. And now if you look at various examples in the market, you will find a lot of them, to be honest. So let me bring one of them. So there was always a need, you can say, for cooking items with less oil, and that led to a really great innovation, which is air fryers. So that is from an industry which I'm not part of, but now if you look at any other industry, or for example industry which I'm part of, IT industry, there would also be situations where you will see that there has been an unmet need of handling or storing the vast amount of data which we are now getting from various devices, sensors, people, social media, right? And this has also led to innovations on distributed data storage. There are a lot of innovations happening there. So in other words, Coming back to the point is the matchmaking between unmet market needs and solutions is innovation. Don't focus only on one side of the equation, solutions, creativity, inventions. Not, you'll see a lot of companies operating only on the solutions dimensions. But if you hear this word innovation, you should also worry about, or you should also think about, what is the other side of the equation, what is the process to get that. Okay, so that was one of the key points which I would like to simplify and want you to take home when we talk about innovation. Okay, good. Now, in addition to that, you can say that, okay, if we have two sides of the equation and the matchmaking is what we are talking about when it comes to innovation, how do we start? We can start on the left-hand side and we can start on the right-hand side as well. And this is where, for example, two approaches which you will find, or two schools of thought, which is pretty common in the industry. And the two thoughts are idea first approach and needs first approach. Now, as it is self-explanatory, when I talk about idea first approach, what we're talking about is we are creating solutions, we are creating ideas, various ideas on the solutions part of the dimension. And then we will validate each idea whether it has a market of its own, whether the particular idea serves an unmet market need. That's the idea first approach. The needs first approach is, I will first uncover whatever are the unmet market needs in the industry market which I'm operating, and then I will bring the ideation exercise to find out those focused ideas which solve that need. Right, so this is also a common term which is used: idea first approach, needs first approach. Needless to say, there's another entire chapter or dimension of which is an approach which to follow. Personally, if you ask me, a needs first approach, as you can imagine, is something which I relate to better, and maybe in some upcoming videos I will also try to give you a deeper understanding of what does that mean. But again, as part of the simplification, what we learned now, okay, when we talk about innovation, there are two sides of the equation. The matchmaking has to happen, and the matchmaking can happen by starting on either side of the things. Need first approach is something which usually has a high target rate, and I have a personal preference to that as well. Okay, so that's the two dimensions which you just take out of whatever we talked about today. Okay, now let's keep that aside for a while. Let me keep it here. Now let me also, as a follow-up to this simplification exercise, uncover this sentence: unmet market needs. Why I call this a sentence is we already have three loaded words: unmet market needs. And to understand innovation at a deeper level, we also need to understand this side of the equation pretty well, because you'll see this side of the equation is also understood, and a lot of technologies, digital transformation activities which you are talking about handle this part of it. But let me uncover this side, which is relatively less talked about. Okay, so when I have to break this unmet market needs, I'll break from needs, market, and unmet. So I'll go from right to left for me, and then so to start with needs. Now we have also had a lot of debates in the industry. Different school of thoughts is, how do we define a need? How should we define a need? Whether so, if I go to a shop and say that I want a 1/4-inch drill, am I expressing my need, or I say that I need something for a 1/4-inch hole and drill is the solution to it? So you see it, the paradigm which I'm trying to explain in this case. So the core thought which comes behind this, or the core thought which I would like to explain when I talk about need, is usually if you talk about good need statements should be devoid of solutions. So it should be devoid of solutions. It should not contain a solution element to it. It should just express the need and the matrix which I need to compare whether my need is fulfilled or not. It should be devoid of solutions. So if someone says, maybe again an example from an IT industry, that the customer says, I need a data warehouse. Actually, data warehouse is a solution. The need might be that I want my enterprise data, which is scattered across the organization, to come together at one place for localization, which makes me give a combined or an aggregated view of things which I would like to know, or the questions which I would like to ask. And single data set doesn't give me that, and I have to have an aggregated view of all this information. Now, data warehouse is one of the solutions which cater to that need. There could be others coming up in the future, or better versions of the data warehouse technologies, features which come up in the future. But the point which I want to drive home here is, good need statements look out for whether they contain the solution element or they just define the need, and which can enable new solutions to come up, which can enable the idea generation or the creativity side to prosper. So that is why we need good need statements devoid of solutions. Okay, second part. We talk about market. Now, this is something which I think a lot of people are already conversant with. Let me give that with a simple example. So there might be a need, and I talk to a customer. The customer expresses that need. Do I already have a market for it? Yet no. How do I get a market out of it? I will get if I talk to customer 1 and a similar need is expressed, and if I go to customer 2, similar need is expressed. If I go to customer 3, and so on, similar needs are expressed. So if there are more than one customer who are expressing same or similar need, we say that there is a market around that need. That means if I solve that need, I would not be serving one customer, but multiple customers which form that market. Now that leads to the concept of how big is your market side, or how many customers are willing to pay for such kind of a solution need, how many customers have that kind of a need, and things like that. So that is the market part of it. So what we uncovered, uncovered need, right? Good need statements, and what's the market. Now let me bring back our attention to the first term, which is unmet. And to explain this concept, maybe I will bring two dimensions to picture. So how do we find that a particular market need is unmet or not? And the two dimensions which help us exactly do that are these two dimensions: importance and satisfaction. So there could be a need in the market which is important for me. It has to be important, right? And on a scale of 5, I rate that importance, or on a scale of 10, we rate that importance. So that will give me how important the need is for me. The second dimension is also equally important. It could be that this is an important need, and customers or the market is not sitting idle with that need. They might be doing certain things already to solve that need. They might be cobbling up different solutions, creating some solutions on their own. So the important question for us to answer here is that how much satisfied they are with the existing solutions which are there in the market to solve that need. So I repeat, it should be very important for us to know that there might be solutions in the market, but how good they are in currently solving or serving the need which the customers or the market has. So we have a scale of importance on a scale of 1 to 5, and we have a scale of satisfaction again on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. So highly important needs, and if the satisfaction level is low, that means they're not satisfied with the current solution in the market, we say that the needs are unmet. And these are ripe opportunities for innovation, because as these are unmet and they are important, customers are also willing to pay more for such kind of, if we are able to prove that it is helping us solve that particular need better than competitors. So that's the unmet space. Now you will find that there are also needs in the market which are highly important but are equally satisfied as well. So they are adequately satisfied needs, right? They do not give us that big an opportunity for innovation. Now there's another side as well where you will find that the importance is relatively less, but there are a lot of solutions which solve that in a much better way. Now there are certain solutions like that, and I would like you to explore on that what are those overmet products, right? This also leads to some kind of an innovation which comes up, which is another big jargon, disruptive innovation, but we will talk about later in some videos. But so far, to stick to the current theme of this session, unmet, importance level high, satisfaction low. That means I'm not satisfied as a market with the current solution in the market. And this gives us unmet market needs. Now, to go back, I think one thing which we should all now understand and explore is there a process in our teams, in our organizations, when we talk about innovation, of creativity? That means on the solution side, how do we create that? But also a process of how do we find explore unmet market needs, because until unless we have both, the matchmaking does not happen. And that's the key takeaway which you should take out of this video. Thanks, guys, and follow me on LinkedIn, and we can have a conversation on this. Bye bye.